Well, welcome to an episode of Leaving the Pack. I am so excited today to have with me, former Major League Baseball player and owner and CEO of Pure Hitters, Gerald Davis Jr. Welcome to
No,
the
thank
podcast.
you. Thank you for having me. I really look forward to this. I've watched your podcast. I'm excited to tell my
Yeah,
story.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited. So you may know this or you may not know this, but I do have a tradition where I start with every guest to ask them, as you know, the podcast is called Leaving the Pack. So I'd
Yes.
love to hear from you, like what that means to you, like that phrase, what comes to mind, and how do you feel like that has showed up in your own life?
Well, first I'll say, I'm a religious person. Everything that I do, it begins and ends with my faith. And so, none of us are perfect. We all have journeys. We make mistakes, but you have to leave when you decide you want to accept Christ into your life. You're leaving the earthly, manly things. Not that you're leaving them that you won't partake or you won't make mistakes, but your faith changes how you try to live. So
Hmm.
you have to leave the worldliness, the things that you may want to do or everybody else is doing, and you got to start thinking about how God sees you and visions what you're doing. So from a religious perspective, that's what I think it means. But from like me as a kid and a man, it meant not doing the dumb stuff.
Yeah.
You can be around people. Everybody can't go on your journey,
Yeah.
right? So you have to leave some things, some places, and some things behind to get to where you're trying to go in life and be the best person that you can be. So that's what
Hmm.
I think it means from both sides.
And how do you feel like that kind of showed up in your own life?
Well, like I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, so in the urban city, right? And so
Which
everything
we
was
both
available.
share since I was born in
Yeah, yeah, you
and
told
lived
me
in
that. Yeah.
Detroit.
So there's all type of temptations there. You can go
Yes.
left, you can go wherever you want. You can go left or you can go right, right? So I always chose to go right. Like, I even as a kid, I played baseball with kids during the day that I knew was maybe into
Going
the wrong
left.
type of stuff, but they would take time. What I appreciate them for is they would take time to come play ball with me, and then they
Yeah.
go do whatever. And then so like when we walking home, they go do what they do, and I'll see you tomorrow type
Hmm.
situation for me. I'm going home because one thing God did give me, my mom instilled in me as I got older, but I think my a gift was discernment, right? Not to
Yep.
do the wrong thing, to watch and observe, and to be able to, at a young age, understand what was good and what was bad, or if I was in doubt about it, then that's what she always preached to me. If you have a second thought about it, whatever, then don't do it. Come
Yep.
ask about it, right?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's when it showed up more so for me when I was growing up because I could have gotten into the gangs, I could have gotten into the streets, I could have, but having a strong mother, having a strong grandmother, and my family, my uncles and everybody, and the neighborhood. Once I really became kind of like a child prodigy of baseball, they protected me, right? And so like they wouldn't they even if I wanted to get into that type of thing, then they would
Yep. They
get me
knew
and they
you
probably
had something bigger.
they knew I had something, yeah.
Yeah.
So they protect me. So I was blessed in that that type of situation.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that you brought up the point that like sports can be such an equalizer that, despite where people's paths may be, even like the kids that you grew up with, like I'm sure when you guys all played, it didn't matter what was
It
happening
was just baseball
after. It
or
was
football or
just
basketball,
baseball.
whatever. Yeah,
So
yeah.
how did sports become such a big part of your life? Was it more of like a social element when you were, growing up as a kid, or when did you realize that baseball could be like a life-changing path for you?
Well, as far as playing the game, I started playing the game in my backyard at 3 years old, swinging. They
Yeah.
had pictures and stuff of me hitting the ball over the fence, and my neighbor she would let me come over and get the ball, and then she would always give me some fruit or something to eat. She said, you can come and get the ball, baby." And I was like 3 or 4, and so
Oh, as long as
they
it
would
didn't break a window, you
long as it
still
didn't
that's
break a window.
good.
Yeah. So baseball was like, and I have pictures. I even have a picture on my website of me sleeping with my glove at 4 years old. So
Oh,
baseball was what God put in me. That's what he meant for me to play. The other sports came a few years later. I started playing football and basketball, and I even ran a little track. But it was just a natural. And then once I became good at it, and I could see that it was something that I could really, that's why I try to explain to people now. They need visuals or success. Um, Pay attention to that, man. Reward that success,
Manifest.
because
Yeah.
that's where your passion comes from, right? Because as a kid, you don't really know that that's your passion, right? But
Right.
you see people getting excited about you, and like I was playing in games when I got to 5 years old. I remember they used to love to see a 5-year-old play so much that when my bus arrived before the bell rung in the morning, they would have a glove or something, and they would get me off the bus, the older kids, to come and play baseball a little bit to see. They were like, "Look at this little guy doing this," or whatever it may be.
Wow.
So that was really when I kind of knew that I could really, I was a little different. And then when I got actually recruited to play Little League Baseball at 7, to
Wow.
play 8, 9, 10 age group from my principal in the
Yep.
school. He watched me play in gym class. He watched me play before the bell. He would come in and he would see dry right. And he would see me. And I noticed him watching me for a while. And then when I was 7 years old, he told me to bring my mom to the office after school. And I thought I was going to get in trouble. And so, I got straight A's, and I knew I talked a little bit in class after my assignments and stuff were finished, but I didn't know what it was. And so finally, I took, I got to know. I didn't do it the first day. He told me. The second day, I had my mom come because I figured I'd get in trouble if I didn't. And
Yeah.
so when he came in there, he said to her, "Well, I have an 8, 9, 10-year-old team, and he's not old enough, but he's good enough, and I'm gonna push his age up if you allow him to play. I want him to play on my team." And it was who was my greatest team and my favorite team to this day was the Yankees in Detroit, right? And they
Right.
were one of the, if not the top, they were one of the top two teams and organizations around the whole city. So I didn't know that part at the time, but I just knew it was the Yankees, right? And I just fell in love with the Yankees at 7, right?
Hmm.
So my first World Series was 1977. That when I was 7, to watch the Dodgers and Yankees. That was my first World
Oh,
Series
wow.
I
Yeah.
watched on TV, and I fell in love with Reggie Jackson, right? So
Yep.
he was my hero. And so yeah, so back to the story. So when my mom came in, I grew up. Even though I'm the only child by my mom, I grew up. I had my 2 cousins that were around my age, and then she had 6 siblings, so it was 11 people in the house, counting my
Oh,
grandmother,
wow. Yeah.
right? So she explained to them that, explained to him that it was one vehicle. She had just helped my grandmother buy a station wagon. We had a new station wagon, but everybody wanted to use it.
Yeah.
And so she was like, "I don't know if I can get him to practice and all that." So he was like, "No, I think he's good enough where he needs to play. So I will take him home with me after school. He can get
Wow.
dressed with me at my house," which the field where we practiced was right around the corner from his house. And he said, "And if you can pick him up, that's fine. If not, you guys only live 10 minutes from me. I'll drop him off if you allow me to do that."
What an
And she was like,
amazing, principal mentor to kind of take you under his wing.
"Yeah, his name was Bradley Crosby, Mr. Crosby." And so he did that. And I was very scared because the kids were bigger than me, 8, 9, 10. I was scared from a size standpoint, but I
Yeah.
knew my skill set, right? I
Mhm.
because my I was playing with my uncles that were 9 and 10, 11 years older, right? So I was in the neighborhood, I was in their games. They were actually at my position. They didn't just throw me out there. I actually was playing, had my spot, and was doing well. So from a baseball I was confident from a baseball perspective, but the kids were much bigger. And so back then you couldn't like do the travel ball where you pay to play.
Yeah.
You had to make it or you got cut. So it
Wow.
was like 30 kids trying out. And then luckily I was the 8th kid chosen for the team when they made the cuts. And then actually started at 7. I actually started, in the lineup, and I won Rookie of the Year for the whole league at
Oh,
7.
amazing.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
that's when I kind of knew. You asked at a moment. That's when I kind of knew too that this was something for me when I was able to go in and play with the bigger kids.
Yeah.
And then so I played for that organization 7, 8, 9. Well, when I got to my 10-year-old, I was pitching, and I played in the Willie Mays World Series, and I won
Wow.
co-MVP of the World
Wow.
Series right at 9. And then they didn't want me to play. The 11 and 12s wanted me to come up, so I didn't even play my 10-year-old. I went up to 11 and 12s,
Wow.
right?
Yep.
And so I played for that organization for 10 years, and I think I won like 7 MVPs for them. And I won the Rookie of the Year and then 2 Most Versatiles. So that was my organization, and I did well. So by the time I finished there, I was in high school playing, and I was excelling in high school as well. So I knew that that was my ticket, even though I played football and basketball for 2 years. I played JV basketball as a sophomore. I played against Jalen Rose and those guys, Howard Isley, Jalen Rose.
Oh, no way.
I got a chance to play against them in junior varsity, and then I decided in my junior year I didn't want to even try out for basketball, and then I just was gonna focus on baseball and football
And in high
and
school, did you know at that point, like very shortly, you would try to play professional baseball?
professional.
Or were there people around you that, because to obviously play professional baseball is
Mhm,
only a small percentage of even the
mhm,
best athletes actually
mhm.
get that chance. So did you have someone like a Mr. Crosby that you had when you were younger? Did you have someone that kind of told you that this
Yeah.
could be something that was realistically possible for you?
I actually did as a freshman. There was a guy, and he was a mentor. He ended up passing with cancer my senior year, but his name was Rodney Hampton, and he had played at my school. He was an alumni, but he was also an area Detroit Tiger scout, and he scouted with,
Okay.
So he watched my first game as a freshman, and I was still a little kind of hot headed if I struck out or whatever. So I remember
Yeah.
slamming my hat and my first at bat, I struck out in high school. So I threw my bat and my helmet, and he was like, waited till the game was over. And then he introduced himself to me and my mom. And then he said, come over here for a minute. He said, if I ever see you throw your helmet or your bat, I'm gonna be on you. I'm gonna grab you up, right? He said, that's not it.
Wow.
You got a lot of talent. And because that
Don't let
game, I
that get
also
in the
hit,
way.
well, because in that game, my second at bat and my third, I hit 2 home runs in my first game,
Oh,
right? And
wow.
so
Yeah. It was
even though
just
I
that
struck,
first moment.
yeah, and so he's like, you got a lot of talent, and he said you need to get your attitude together and whatnot. And nobody ever told me that. Like in my little league or whatever, they just accepted that I could play, and if I
Yeah.
got mad, right, they'd never said nothing about me throwing my hat,
Yeah, and
whatnot,
you're younger
right?
too, right? So they
And I,
probably there's a chance you can grow out of it or something, but as a high
yeah,
school player, it can really set the
it can.
tone of that's how you play.
You're right. And so yeah, so then he told me, that, and so I excelled as a freshman. I started and I excelled. I led the team in hitting as a freshman. And so then the scouts started coming around my sophomore year. So I kind of knew by the end of my sophomore year, because there was pro scouts at every game for me.
Wow.
I kind of knew that
Yeah,
I was a prospect. Still don't, you never know, right? You
sure.
just, right, you're not for sure. And I'm a humble guy. I don't never I always see it the glass half empty,
Yeah,
right? I don't
yeah.
never think it's full, because that's just how I was raised, to just let things happen, right? So even though they were talking to me and I knew they were there every game, I didn't really know, probably until my senior year, that
hmm
it was a high possibility that I wasn't going to go to college, right? And
Okay.
so, and then the Yankees drafted me out of high school.
And
So
how
yeah,
crazy, full circle, your little
full
leagues,
circle, full circle. Yeah,
organization was called the Yankees and then they
yeah.
drafted you.
What
You
what what
know, sorry, go
Oh, I
ahead.
was, I was gonna say, what's funny about that, Vina, is I told you the scouts were coming around. I never saw the Yankees. He stayed away from me. He never talked to me. I never saw them. I talked to the Tigers, Kansas City, Houston, Phillies, different other organizations, but I was very surprised. He called me 3 weeks before the draft, and he was like, "I need you to go to Columbus and work out." At that time, the AAA team were the Clippers. They were in Columbus, Ohio, and so Deion Sanders was on that team as
Oh,
well,
wow.
right?
Yeah.
And so he was in AAA for the Yankees at that time. And so they said, "Well, I need you to." He said, "I need you to come up there and work out for the executives, kind of a pre-draft situation." So not only did I not know that they were that's the first time I not that they were involved with me or scouting me, but that was the first time I ever heard someone say too that they were going to put me in the outfield, because they had me work out in the outfield. I had played second base in high school 4 years.
hmm
I never
hmm
knew nothing else but that, and so when I went up there, that was the first time somebody ever here told me that people were thinking about drafting me as an outfielder, right? And so yeah, I went up there, and then even working out for them, they still didn't say, "Well, we're gonna take you." I just worked out, and there were people like college players and whatnot there, and I was like, okay, whatever. I believed that the Tigers or Kansas City was going to take me, because they were the most, I talked to them the most,
Right.
right? And so yeah, and then they ended up, and the same scout that drafted me drafted Derek Jeter, Dick
Huh.
Roach,
Yeah.
and he passed last year. He's been a major league legend and major league
Yep.
scout, all that. So yeah, he saw something in me, and he said, I used to see every game, but I would stay over to the side. I didn't want to talk to you. I just wanted you to play. And so
Hmm.
probably I would have been super geeked if I'd have knew that the Yankees, right, right, because I was
Yeah, it might have
everything about
changed
me.
your whole kind
Yeah,
of, the way
yeah,
of being if you knew that that was on the other
yeah.
side. I think it's so interesting, like even when you said your first game, you struck out initially and
Hmm.
then you had, two home runs. I
Hmm.
think what's so interesting about baseball, and as you know, I live in Dunedin,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so baseball is such a part of like this community's life,
Yes.
especially when the Blue Jays were in the World Series. But when my children moved here, we ended up joining Dunedin Little League, and it was the first time they played baseball.
Okay.
We did it almost to be part of the community, and
Hmm.
both of them took to it really quickly. But my daughter, who, was 7 at the time, as you said, like 7, 8, 9, starts getting pretty competitive pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
very much. Yeah.
And even if you're just learning it for the first time, she's a gifted athlete. So she quickly, not only did she start playing, she started pitching, all these
Hmm.
other things that can create really high pressure
Hmm.
situations.
Hmm.
And, a friend of mine has always said, baseball is so interesting because it's a game of equal success and equal failure, all in the same game. You
In the
could
same game.
strike out and then hit a home run.
The next at bat,
Yeah,
like I
and
did.
and
Yeah.
feel the highs
Yeah.
and lows really
Yeah.
quickly. And I remember even with my daughter, when she put so much pressure on herself. And she could
Yeah.
also feel, even at a young age, there was
Yes.
pressure there because the
Yes.
team's counting on you, which I love also, right? Baseball is
It's
a
a team.
team-oriented sport, but
Yeah.
in many ways, it's very individual. Like when you're at
Yeah. Because you
bat,
got to do your job. Yeah.
yeah, when
Yeah.
you're at bat, you feel
Yeah.
like it's on
Yeah.
you and that's it.
Yeah.
Or when she was pitching, she was like, it's me.
It's
Everyone's
me.
looking at me. And
Yeah.
there were times just like you, where she would just get so upset when she would
Hmm.
strike out because she just
Hmm.
felt like she failed her team, or,
Hmm.
even though she'd have 4 other chances or something in the
Hmm.
game, the moment she would do it, and especially it was always the first time. If she went up
Yeah.
to bat the first time and struck
That
out,
set the tone for the whole
it was
game. Yeah.
so hard for her to
Yeah.
kind of, not
Yeah.
feel that way. And because they're young, you do get opportunities to go and talk to them, behind the fence.
Hmm.
And there are times I could just see on her face where she was like not ready to talk because she was beating herself up so badly. And
She didn't
I
even want to talk to you.
no.
Yeah. Right.
And so,
Yeah. Yeah.
there
Right.
were times she was more receptive to it. And I guess similar to even that scout that, talked to you, I would
Hmm.
say, I know that you're upset, but remember that your attitude is
It's
half
being
of it
watched.
because you're
Yeah.
going to go back up there. And if you
Yeah.
already feel like you're a failure, you've already decided what's going to happen next. And
Yes.
as much as you don't want to, you have to shake it off because, and also you're going to go back on the field as an outfielder. You're going to, and I was very grateful. The last game ball that she ever received
Hmm.
was a game that she could not hit the ball for the life of her. Like she went up
Hmm.
like 3 times,
No matter
struck
what.
out.
Yeah.
She was so upset, but she was able to change her mindset when she went out and she struck out 3 people because she caught the ball, and
Hmm.
she ended
Yeah.
up getting the game ball. And I was
Yes.
so grateful because I told her, you were so hard on yourself
Hmm.
because you struck out, but you got the game ball because you didn't
Yes.
quit and you went
Yes.
out and you
And
struck
you
out
helped your
3 people.
team.
You
Yeah.
helped your
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
And so I think baseball is so interesting that way, is because it is a team sport, but your
But it's also
attitude,
individual.
yeah,
Yeah.
your attitude can make such a difference. It's so individual. And you see, I feel bad even on the World Series, you'd see players beat themselves up because they didn't make, one catch or
And it's the
one,
World Series.
it's the
Yeah.
World
You know
Series,
what I
but
mean?
you're
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
a
Right.
cumulative effect, right? It wasn't
Hmm.
one person's mistake,
Hmm.
but you can
Hmm.
definitely feel that way. So, kind of looking at your baseball journey, what
Hmm.
challenge do you feel like tested you the most, and how did you push through that?
Yeah, I would say probably having a kid early. I
Hmm.
was having a kid at the same time I was getting drafted, and it
Wow,
kind
it's a
of
lot.
yeah, and so that kind of derailed a lot of things. But I love my sons. I was trying to be there for their mom, and that was rough trying to be a father, a young father, because
Yeah.
by the time I was 20, I had two
Wow.
sons,
Yeah.
right? And so
And
by the
two at
same
any age can
at
test
any
anybody.
at any age, right?
Yeah.
And so, and their mom was very smart, and she was, she ended up persevering and getting her. She became a lawyer, right? So
Amazing.
she was
Yeah.
able to, to move forward, and so we tried to do it together and be young parents, and we were young, trying to figure it out, and so, and I'm trying to, play ball as well. So it was really, and that kind of, you know, you wanna it's your passion and you want to do well, but at the same time, life happens, right? Just
Sure.
like no
Yeah.
matter whether it's a kid involved or not, life happens. So, but a lot of times when it happens when you're older, where you've had some life experiences, but she and I, we didn't have life experiences at that time. We were trying to learn it on the fly,
Yep.
right? And then I had to go a lot because I was playing in different cities in the season. I would try to bring them with me as much as possible, but it was still kind of rough. So that was a challenge for me. And then because the complications and things and things went wrong with the Yankees and whatnot, because me being an early father and I had to go back home, and I won't get into that story. It kind of
Yeah.
it's long, but it was kind of derail where I was going with my career. So I had to like play the whole rim. I played organizational ball. I played independent. Well, independent was a blessing when independent ball came about because I was in the inaugural seasons for the Atlantic League and Texas Louisiana League. The first
Yeah.
year of them, I was one of the original players, and then I was able at the end. I played some in Mexico. I played 3 years throughout Mexico as well. So I did the whole spectrum. I got drafted. I signed as a free agent. I played independent ball, and I played overseas. Right. So and I'm saying that because I'm gonna go back to what you were saying about it being a game. Yeah, it's a game. I started the kids that I train. They'll tell you they have to have a consultation with me before we begin any training, and that's what I'm instilling in them, that this is a game of failure. Let's start there because
Yeah.
you know that would eliminate a lot of what you're talking about if you can instill in them that this is a game of failure and that it doesn't matter how you feel that day, you're gonna strike out. Sometimes you can feel the best,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. No
and
one
you're
has
gonna
a perfect game.
and you're going to strike out sometimes. Then sometimes you're going to feel crappy going to the games and you'll hit 3 home runs or
Yeah.
you have 4 hits or whatever it may be. But there's always other components where you can help the team, like what you mentioned defensively. And see, what happens is when you do lose yourself, like you said your daughter do emotionally, that affects the defense. That affects your emotions, you know what I'm saying? You're not even thinking about where the ball's supposed to go before it's hit. You're not thinking about how many outs it is. You may mess up on the base pass. You should go first to third, but you still mad. You
You're
stay
still
on
back
first,
in like the
right?
first inning.
You're still in the first inning, right?
Yeah.
And or this is what really is my pet peeve when I see guys argue the first at bat, balls and strikes. So you're setting the tone with the umpire. He's not going to give you nothing for the rest of the
Yeah.
game if you really like. You keep going at him, right? Why? How? And then you got 3 more at bats. That's just the first at bat, right? So that happens a lot. Where guys, oh man, it's the first because sometimes it's the pressure of the game. Like it might be World Series, they want to do so well, whatever. But it's at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it's the World Series or a regular game, tournament game. It's still baseball, right?
Hmm.
It's still the same
Hmm.
thing. So
Hmm.
even your training, everything. People say, "Oh yeah, I ain't playing pro ball no more," but you're still playing baseball, right? So
Yep.
if you're gonna go out and play, you still got to put the work in. You still got to stretch. You still got to
Right.
do those things because it's still the same game, right? And so all the kids I deal with their mentor. I also mentor them as life lessons, any things that they're going through. They have to get good grades. They have to be good siblings. They have to be good to their teammates. If I come to the game, I don't want to see you pouting if you're not playing. I want you to be ready. I want you to know what's going on. I teach them how to watch from the bench and what to look for. I do the whole spectrum because I want them to be good people. Yeah, I can teach them baseball, but you're not going to train with me. There's not ever. I've been doing this now since 2007. There's never a kid that's ever trained with me that's going to say he just taught me baseball or he just
Yep.
told me baseball.
Yep.
No, because I'm doing them an ingest as an OG, as a veteran, as a trainer, not to try to instill because it takes a village. Whether parents want to accept it or not, you're not going to be the only one raising your kid, and you should want someone good because the streets could raise them or somebody negative could raise them, right? So
Hmm.
it takes you're not going to always be around your kid. You should want somebody to keep them from making that mistake that could change the whole path or instill in them something that maybe you forgot or you hadn't gotten to yet, right?
Yep.
That they can, because would you prefer, I'm talking about you as a parent, would you prefer someone straighten your daughter out and discipline her? Now, I'm not saying physically or nothing like that. I'm just saying verbally tell them, or would you prefer you getting a call, I'm in jail, mama, or I did this, right?
And
Right?
a faint right here. But
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
it's a true
yeah, yeah.
possibility. And I think it's, it's so interesting because, what you're talking about is part of the
Mm.
work that you do, obviously, as owner and CEO
Oh
of
yeah,
Pure
oh
Hitters.
yeah,
So,
oh yeah.
what sparked the idea for Pure Hitters?
Pure
And for
headed.
those that don't, know what it is, let's talk a little bit about, the vision for it, the idea, and what made you believe it could become something, of real value.
Well, when I first started training kids, I wanted to get. I didn't even want to be a trainer. Someone just asked me to work with their two sons, and I thought that that's all it was going to be. I told him I wasn't a trainer, and he's like, "Well, still, I saw you working with another kid. I like, can you help my kids?" So I'm all about helping people,
Yeah.
period, and definitely kids. So that's how it kind of started. Now it wasn't Pure Hitters then. It wasn't even a brand or nothing. It was just I got some cards. Once it became like I could see I was getting more and more kids. I got some cards and it was called Baseball Extra, but it wasn't even
Okay.
a registered business, right?
Yeah.
Extra meaning do extra work all the time, something extra, right? So that's kind of where it started in Detroit. And I did that. And I helped about 8 kids in Detroit get college opportunity through my training, through my connections and
Amazing.
whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I felt really good about that, giving back, trying to give back to my city. And I wasn't really charging what it was worth, right? It was always a 60% discount every year. I never raised the prices because I was trying to make it, give back and be affordable, but it was part of my living at the time as well.
Yeah.
So I had to charge something. But so then fast forward to years later when I moved out here in 2014, I wasn't even training. I was just wanted to be a player, right? I was done with the training part, but I was still finding myself over to the side working with my friends, kids, or
Hmm.
they would have called me up and I would meet them at the field or whatever it may be. And then one of my friends was like, man, you should go ahead and do it out. This is California. It's year round. So many kids you could help and affect and,
Yeah.
mentor and whatnot. And I thought about it for about a year. And then I said, well, okay, well, if I'm going to do it, this time I'm gonna do it. It still wasn't gonna be the apparel side. It was just gonna be I was gonna now make it a brand and name it and maybe try to work with different organizations and things. So I said I got to come up with a name that is baseball. That's a real concept that has and I create a logo that means. And I said what type of I'm teaching hitting mostly. I can teach the whole game, but I'm a hitting guru. So I said what brand name could I come up with that could simulate my style of hitting and what I'm teaching? And I work with some of the greatest hitting instructors and I remember that the one thing that I was always naturally able to do, but what they always told me was to be like a caballo horse. And when you get to the plate, shoulders you'll only see left center, center field, right center, the middle of the field. Stay in the middle
Hmm.
to be complete, right?
Hmm.
Because once you become a poor hitter or one dimensional, you're more easier to get out, right?
Yeah.
So and it's already a game of failure,
Yep.
right? So you lessening it even more. So I said, that's pure hitting. And I said, oh, pure
There
hitters,
we go.
right? And so then that's when you see my logo, the balls going different places,
Hmm.
right? I came up with that and then I had my nephew. He was a graphic designer for Michigan State, first African American actually graphic designer for Michigan State, and so
Wow.
he
Amazing.
put it on wax. He put my vision on wax, and so that's how we became that. And then I know what it means. Major leagues, everybody they was like when they found out that I had copyright and trademark, they was like, man, we should have did that. Right, and so because we know what it means,
Yeah.
everybody who ever picked up a bat aspires to be a pure hitter,
Yep.
right? And so yeah, so I went on and got trademarks. I got 2 trademarks and then a copyright. And then when once I thought about the apparel side of it, I said, well, one of my taglines say hit two, and then there was a mistake by a manufacturer that put hit in. So when I saw the in, I said, oh, I want to be pure. I want to be well-rounded in all facets of the apparel side and all that. So I use both. Sometimes I use hit in and I use hit two.
Very
And
cool.
so, and I wanted to develop a line of clothing where I'll have baseball on the field stuff like tights and sliding shorts and things like that. But I wanted to be able to workout clothes for people who go to the gym or you wear it casually with your jeans. So that's where the total become a total hitter. The line is on
Hmm.
there. I want it to be a total brand, right?
Yeah.
So not one dimensional. So that is what I'm creating. I'm a sole proprietor. I'm doing it by myself. Everything, all my trademarks and inventory and everything to get to this point, I've done all out of pocket, right? I haven't gotten no loans or,
Hmm.
no donations or anything from anybody. And it's taken a while because I'm building it by myself.
Yep.
And so, and I kind of like it because it's my baby.
Yeah,
It's
of
right.
course. Yep.
And I feel where it's going now and the success that it's beginning to receive now because I want it not only am I selling it, but I want it in retail, right? I want it in the major retailers eventually, and then I want to license it as well. So I want to do a lot of different things with it, and I'm beginning now to get those looks and possible opportunities, and so it's really rewarding to see that I put time and I built my brand on LinkedIn. Every person I've ever found, my designer, everything. I had two people on LinkedIn in 2000. My ex-wife, she told me then, you got to start using that LinkedIn. And I set that up for you for business. And I was hard headed for a while. And then it was only two people there, her and her nephew, the one who designed the thing. That was it for
Yeah.
years, like for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And then so I went in there and this is no joke. I spent 8 months, 10 to 16 hours, sometimes 10 hours straight, but for 8 months straight, I built my LinkedIn. And by the eighth month, I had 1,900 people on my, and some of the
Right.
most powerful people from
Yeah.
Nike, they saw
Yeah.
me build it from ground zero. So some
Yeah.
people, right? And so, and I found my designer. I got ESPN people behind me and Rob Parker's and the Scoop Jacksons and the different people. They saw me grinding, and
Yeah.
yeah, and so I built my whole thing on LinkedIn.
I think it's
Yeah.
so great. So you may or may not know this, but I'm an entrepreneur myself and,
Okay.
co-own an executive search
Mm.
firm. And my
Yeah,
partner
you
and
told me.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, my partner and I, when we started, we did a very similar thing of just, trying to have a vision, but also trying to make it grow organically
Hmm.
and really keep overhead, like make sure that we weren't debilitated by
Yes.
excess cost. Make sure that our relationships were always centered to how we worked and,
Hmm.
we let our work or quality speak for itself.
Yes.
I mean, people that may not see us visually, I'm wearing a Pure Hitters
Yeah.
sweater
And so
today,
am I.
sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And the quality is obvious, right? So it's comfortable. You can tell when you pick it up that it's made thoughtfully. And there's so many brands out there that especially as we get more competitive, there's so many things you pick up and you're like, oh my God, this is gonna disappear after one
Hmm.
wash, right? And
Yes.
this feels different. But I think part of it is how thoughtful you've been in
Hmm.
what you're creating and who you're partnering with
Yes.
and even in
Yes.
the brand, like what that
Yes.
means to
What
you.
that means to, yeah.
And I know that you had a really key collaboration with the Negro Leagues Baseball
Yes.
Museum. So, and Bob Kendrick was the reason that we
Hmm.
were able to connect and that work that you
Yes.
did with them.
Yes.
So, talk to me a little bit about that, how that came to be, and what that really meant for you as, a new business owner.
Again, well, let's go back to LinkedIn. So, one of the people that started following me when I didn't even have the clothing line. I had the logo, the concept, and the name was Scoop Jackson. I don't know if
Hmm.
you know who Scoop
Yeah.
Jackson, ESPN and whatnot. So he and Rob Parker and those people. Well, Rob Parker came from Scoop. Scoop. Once he decided that he was actually going to get behind me, and it was from the beginning. But when he started actually contacting me and really telling me what I needed to do. He sent me an email, two emails, and it was Rob Parker's and Bob Kendrick's. He said, these are people that explain to them what you're doing. They're going to love the concept, name, and logo like I do, and they're going to help you as much as they possibly can. And one
Right.
is the Negro League Museum, who you're excited about, because I have been talking about always the Negro League players and Josh Gibson
Yeah.
and Bug O'Neill's and all
Sure.
them. And at the time, my local team in California was the Monarchs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he
Good
was like,
history
and
there.
yeah, and so he was like, Bob, I love that. He's like, Satchel and Autumn played for them, and I said, I know. And so when what was great is both of those men who are prominent people in the world, they never made me wait. They didn't make me wait for days.
Amazing.
Immediately that night when I emailed them, both of them responded. And
Yeah.
through first it was Rob Parker who set me up with his guy Mark Gray, who was doing. They do MLB Bro, right? And they're on the fields and all that before in Baltimore and different places for the African American players or the players of color getting their stories that may not be covered by ESPN. Some were, but make sure that everybody got their shine. That's
Yep.
minorities or whatever. So that's kind of how they created ML Bro, and so MLB Bro, and so that that transpired with Rob and got Rob involved, and then I Bob contacted me and told me to send him, what I was doing, the shirts. I said, well, Bob, I'm gonna send you a shirt. You and Rob, I'm doing promotional shirts. I'm gonna send you one. And if you look at my website, he's wearing the blue one. And
Yeah.
not only did he grab the shirt soon as it was there and contact me that he had it, but when he sent me a picture that day, and then
Amazing.
he said, well, I'm gonna see a better picture later on. I didn't know what that was. And then he was standing right next to Oscar Charleston in the
Wow.
museum,
Yeah, it
and
doesn't get better than that.
really, really, really trying to help and promote and help me, get where I was going. And so I knew the type of man that he was from that perspective. And then when we actually talked, and he and Rob both, they were really, really, really from the beginning helping me. But it started with Scoop Jackson, who gave me both of those contacts. And so from that perspective, I told him that the Negro League was going to always be a place that I donated to. It wasn't nothing involved with us working with business or nothing at the time. It was
No,
just,
it just meant
um,
something to you.
yeah, it meant something to me, and I felt that I have to do my part because none of us will be playing ball without
Yeah,
the sacrifices
absolutely.
and what the museum represents. But what those players had to go through, the Jackie Robinsons and Hank
Yeah.
Aaron's and Oscar Charles, all of them, all play to play, and us having an opportunity to even not only play ball at a high level, but professional ball, period,
Hmm.
right? And so I told him that. He was like, "Well, I appreciate that, whatever." And so fast forward about a year or two later, I came up with an idea. I said, I got a shirt that I want to, it's going to be my first product on Amazon. And I want to know if I could use the logo and the name of the museum to kind of honor the museum and whatnot. And he didn't say, well, let me think about it. Let me whatever.
Yeah, did
Immediately,
you imagine that it was going to be kind of red tape or
yeah, I did. And he didn't make it be red tape. He made it be like me and you talking right now, as comfortable as possible. And he was like, man, I believe in what you're doing. And I told you that. And I'm gonna help you in every kind of way. This is great for baseball. He's like, that pure hitters is baseball. He said, but you, the person, the way you're grinding, what you're doing it by yourself. You constantly doing something different every day. You're
yeah,
trying to
it's a
make it happen.
sentiment behind the brand.
Yeah, and so he gave me his blessing, and not only a blessing, but he gave me a letterhead and a letter to give to Amazon to let them know that I was licensed to be able to do that. He wrote that,
Amazing.
and so yeah, and so the shirt. So I ran the shirt for a while, and there was a lot of different fees and things that you have to pay on Amazon, and
Sure,
um,
yeah.
I decided that I love Amazon. Thank you for it because it ran and did well for about 6 months, but I wanted to do my own store. So now
Yeah,
I have my own Shopify store. So I had a lot of inventory of that shirt left, and I decided, okay, well, I haven't been able yet to give them the money that I really want to give them from the sales because everything was going back into fees, inventory, different things. I said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the shirt from my roster, and that's going to be a shirt that I give to the museum, and he can sell it for whatever he wants, but keep all the proceeds for as
amazing.
my donation to the
Yeah,
museum. And that way, we can, it'll help my brand as well, but more importantly for me, it'll be honoring the word that I told him that I was going to be giving back to the museum. And he was able to, and he was very excited about that. And he was like, man, you don't have to do that. And but no, and so now that shirt is only going to be, I'm going to let it be exclusively, it's right now being sold. I'm so honored, it's in the museum as we speak
yeah.
now. So Pure Hit has made it to the Negro League Museum.
So wild.
And so yeah, it's in the gift shops, and I believe they sell it online as well, or they will soon sell it online, but
Yeah.
it's in the shop. I saw, he sent me a picture of it the other day. And so that shirt moving forward, hopefully they'll want to continue. That's going to exclusively be my gift, and that shirt for the Negro League Museum.
You know
Yeah.
what I think is so amazing about that story is so many things is that, sometimes it can be so scary as an entrepreneur to take a leap of faith and reach out
Hmm.
to someone like a Bob Kendrick, who
Mm.
I'm sure, as many of us do, admire and for so many
Yes,
reasons,
yes,
but also know how much he has on his plate, right? He
yes,
carries like a really large responsibility. And I, like you, had a very similar experience where when you get an immediate response to
yes,
something, I think it already shows the type of person that he is and exactly why he's in the position that he's in representing such, a wonderful museum because, it's
he's so
who he
kind and
is
humble.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
kind and it shows in the smallest of ways to
Hmm.
people who reach
Hmm.
out to him. And how amazing full circle for you to be able to give back to a place that means
Yes,
something so personally to you and
yes.
do it in your way and
In my
it's
way.
something that
Yes,
you're passionate
yeah,
about.
yes,
And so I was
yes.
so glad to hear about that collaboration. So, we've talked about like your identity shifting, right? From
Hmm.
athlete,
Hmm.
to mentor to young athletes, now, an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
What is the biggest surprise or lesson since stepping into entrepreneurship for you?
Well, it costs a lot of money. Let's start there, right? To build a brand, people told me it was, but I'm gonna say that was, I'm just throwing that out because you do need funds. But I haven't had a whole lot of money, and I've been able to. It takes a little longer, but every step of the way, I've been able to still progress and get and build my brand with the funds that I've had. And I didn't want to have a whole lot of loans. I was kind of like a college student. I didn't want to have a whole lot of things to pay back because some people
Yeah,
just take a loan and then you be spending 6, 7 years trying to pay that loan back or whatever it may be. I just say, okay, well, mine might take a little longer, but I'm gonna take my own funds and take my time and think
yeah.
about
Be
and put more
thoughtful.
important for me, Vina, it was quality.
Yeah,
Putting quality material out, items of clothing. I didn't want to put some, just grab some shirts or grab some blanks and do that. What you're wearing right there is actually cut and sewn and made in my vision. I picked the fabric out,
yeah,
everything, right? And
yeah.
then I wanted to do with these, I wanted to do like what you mentioned earlier about a washing off. No, these are chenilled and embroidered,
Mhm.
custom made. These are not just right. It's not just some
Yeah,
throw together
yeah.
type of thing. And so it's my heart and soul in these and my beanies as well that match, with them. But I still, it's not, I haven't really transitioned from being an athlete because I still play. I play about 80 to 90 games a year still,
Oh,
even at
wow.
I'll be fit.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'll be 55 in March, and I still play with the 18 and 25-year-olds most of the time.
It's great.
And then in tournaments and locally, and that's great from a perspective of it keeps me motivated to work out and all that. But also, my trainees and whatnot can see what I'm teaching them. Right, they can
Yeah,
come to the games or they know it's a little bit different when your coach is actually still playing. So you can't
yeah,
tell him that you can't do these extra sprints or you can't work out or whatever it may be because he's doing them. I'm leaving more times than not. When they come, I've already ran some sprints
yep,
because I got to get my running in for the day,
yep,
right? So they, from that perspective, I haven't trained, but I've learned that I have to put just as much effort in building my apparel line as I do or did on the field. Right,
hmm
you have to. There's so many components if you're going to do it right. Now you can, like I said, you can just grab some shirts and pray for
yeah,
sales, right? But pure hitters is and the reason why I didn't want to even be come from behind the brand. Someone told me this past year I had to be the my story mattered and that I had to come out in front of the brand and not just because it was just all about the brand for me, right? I wasn't
yeah,
trying to do it for popularity or anything like that.
right,
And so telling my stories and sharing my journeys, which there's many more that I haven't shared, but being able to hopefully inspire people with my story. I sacrifice because I'm a private person. Anybody who knows me, I kind of private with. If I know you, we'll have a discussion and I'll tell you certain things about me. But I live a private life. I
yeah,
kind of stay to myself, and
yeah,
I'm not really a social butterfly type of person. Um, kind of sometimes people call me antisocial because I don't go to a lot of social events and things like that. But it's just not my DNA. It's not because the people. I don't like that type of. I don't like music. I love me. Music is my number one hobby, right? Other than baseball, right? So I love to be, but I just don't. I don't drink or smoke or do anything like that, and I don't want to. be around it, but I don't also want to cloud people who do that. I let them do their thing and
Yep.
whatever. And if I have to go to an event, you'll never know that I don't want to be there because I know how to have
Yeah.
a good time, right? But and I'm a quiet person. I like to be at home. I like to watch my games. I like to be with my mate, with my dog. I like to go fishing. Um, I haven't been fishing in years, but that's one of my favorite pastimes, right? I like to go to concerts and movies, and I'm kind of just like a chill person, especially now I'm older in life. I was like that younger, but I got out a little bit more in my 20s and 30s. But now that I'm older, I just go do my training. I go to the gym every day at 5 o'clock and well about 4:30 now because I can go I got to go to a gym that's 24 hours. So I can go whatever time I want now. But yeah, so no, I haven't really transitioned from the athletic part. I still what's funny is people say, well, how do you feel, even though you play it, how do you feel as a person in their 50s still out there playing? Well, I'm smarter because like the leagues I play in, they allow you to have like courtesy runners and things like I can preserve my legs. Like I can hit a triple or double and someone come relieve me,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
and finish it out, right? I still can play the outfield and throw and all that, but I don't do that a lot. I let the younger players. Why would I be
Hmm.
out there? I'd have put 46 years of straight playing every inning in the outfield, right? So when I had surgery, and even though I'm healthy, when I came back, I said, I'm a DH. I'm gonna become David Ortiz or Edgar Martinez. It's time to just chill out because you know why? Because I want to play until my 60s,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so hopefully I can play another 10 years, right? And so in order to do that, you have to be a little smarter. You have to load manage. I don't even load manage. I'm not even caught because I play every game. I do play in every game. I go to every game. I just kind of be smart. And people are like, man, you want to go out now for? Yeah, I can still throw and stuff, but no, you go ahead and do it. I put my time
You're
in.
like, I've earned my
Yeah, I earned that.
time.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But it's probably really neat to be integrated in the sport at all ages because you're also creating a brand that you want to speak to all ages. And so
Yes,
to be still so close to it and to make
yes.
sure that it kind of actually speaks to the people that
Hmm.
you hope, will wear
Yes,
it, regardless of
yes.
age, but people that are passionate about baseball that understand what pure
What it
hitters
means.
it
Yeah.
means and as a brand. So as you think to the future, like what kind of legacy do you hope to leave,
Hmm.
obviously, to this next generation of athletes, many who see you as a mentor, but also even as you build your brand.
Well, first and foremost, I want to be remembered as a person who was honest. I was loyal. I've never lied to you to your face. I'm gonna tell you. Sometimes I'm honest to a default, right? To a fault. I'm a little too honest because everybody can't handle honesty, right? And they get offended or and I'm doing it respectfully because I live on respect. I'm never gonna
Yeah.
be disrespectful to you, but I'll tell you the truth because I don't ever want you to say, well, he gave me false information or he um, he told me something that wasn't true. No, I won't even talk to you about certain things I don't even know about. Like I got to know something about it in order for me to really go into detail with you. So I, I want to be known as a respectful person, that I was honest and I was loyal to you, and that I put in work in whatever I did. Right.
Hmm.
Look at my work ethic.
Yeah.
Right. In baseball, I still hit 300 to 400 times a week to be a DH, right?
Wow.
I don't just
Well,
go
you
out
certainly
there.
live your brand, which is
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I
Yeah.
go at night sometimes. Like the band cage close at 9 o'clock, so I might be busy during the day, but they'll let me come up there and it just be me at 8 or 9 or whatever it may be. And because I'm not just gonna say I still can go out there and play if I don't put no work in. I'm teaching people to put work in, so I got to put it in because it's timing and a lot of different things in hitting. It's a reason why major leaguers take. I tell my young players that I train it's a reason why when you go to the game, you see them taking batting practice and still taking ground balls. And these are
Yeah.
million dollar players.
Yeah. It's
It's
the
a reason why
fundamentals.
yeah, and it's repetitious. You got to keep timing. You got to keep your rhythm. It's a lot of different things involved with playing sports. Yeah, no, I really, really, really want to be known as someone who gave it their all and whatever his passion was, even train, whether it be training, my brand, plan, whatever it is, I gave it my all, and that's all you can, to be respected and people to understand that you were loyal and you put everything into not only them if you tried to help them or whatever, but yourself. That's all you can really ask for in this world, that people, because people are going to have opinions on you no matter whether you're good or bad, right? So
Yeah.
you can't worry about that. You just know with God that you did your best. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I made a lot of errors. I made bad judgments, mistakes, and whatnot, but I never intentionally did it. I can say that to you. It was just life, or me growing up, or whatever it may be. But I've learned, and I've asked forgiveness from the Master for my mistakes and sins, and I don't need to be forgiven by nobody else. If you forgive me, you do. If you don't, that's
Yeah.
fine. But I've repented for everything, and I still repent for mistakes, because until we die, we all going to make mistakes,
Yeah.
right? And bad
Is there
judgments. Yeah.
is there a quote or mantra or something inspirational that keeps you kind of locked into that mentality?
Yeah. Well, my mother, that, so she'll be the last. Yeah, my big topic, that my mom is, she's a single parent. I'm the only child by her, and to this day, my mom has been my ride or die. No matter who's there, if it's God first, and then my mom, no matter what. And it started off me and her, and she is my biggest supporter. My mate is my I went through a divorce. I have a new mate. She's very
Yeah.
supportive of me as well. But
Yeah.
my mom has been there from birth to now. She's every single day, and I have to call her every day after, and I help her with her affairs and all that. But my mom instilled. She used to always want me to go to church, and want me to pray and whatnot, because she always used to tell me that no matter what I've taught you, if you have God and you're a godly man and you understand about faith, then
Yeah.
I'll never have to worry about you. I can
Yeah.
leave this earth knowing that I instill that in you. And um, a lot of people think having faith means that you can't listen to music, or you have to walk this fine line. Some people do that, right?
Yeah. Sure.
But and I don't knock them, but no, that don't mean that you can't live life. God, he said, Jesus died for your sins, right? So God already know you're gonna sin, or you're gonna make mistakes, or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. So no, it's just, I believe that he's watching me all the time, right? He's seeing, like, I'm a big giver of
Hmm.
people. Like, there's a couple, over the past few years, it's been there. I love to, what my favorite thing, Vin, I'm gonna tell you this. My favorite thing is to be in a store or be in a gas station or whatever, and to see someone struggling to pay for their stuff, and
Hmm.
then I can finish it out for them.
Yeah.
Um, that means everything to me. That's like makes my whole week or whatever,
Right.
that I was able
Yeah.
to do that. There's a homeless gentleman I'm trying to help. Hopefully, I haven't seen him in about 3 weeks, so hopefully his daughter took him in. But I've been trying to get him off the streets, so I feed him, and I take him clothing. His name is Rob, and Robert. And he liked to say I call him Rob, but Robert. And you know how we met? We met because at the field where I run, he was sleeping in the dugout, right? And
Mm.
so at first, every time I come in, he would rise up like I was coming in his house, like, "Hey!" And I said,
Yeah.
"What?" Right? And so,
You're like, I'm just
and
getting my 300 hits in for the day.
yeah, I'm about to go. Well, at that field, I was going to run, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm like, "Man, I'm going to run, man. You act like this your house." So we kind of like had some words. But then he's like, "I'm sorry, man." I said, "I'm sorry too, man. I didn't mean to disturb you," right? So we went out there, and so we developed first it was just a hi and bye, and just, "Hey, how you doing today?" Whatever. And then, I noticed that he never asked me for anything. He never asked anyone. He just, was out there. And so I just went and talked to him and found out about his story. And he's 63 years old, and he out there. And so I started, just with a little food and things, and then it just became a every week thing, making sure he was okay, make sure he had toothpaste and
Yeah.
toothbrush and clothing. The clothing he got that last time I saw him was clothing that, because it's cool now, and I wanted to give him hoodies and layers of clothing for the fall and winter. But I've been trying to get him. I was trying to get him off the street, but he didn't have an address, or he didn't have a driver's license or anything. So even I didn't know at the time. I've never tried to get anybody into a shelter. I didn't know that you have to have that even to get into a shelter, you have to have an
Oh,
address
wow.
or an ID.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do that. So I haven't seen him, as I say, in about 3 weeks. And the last time that happened, his daughter took him in for a little bit, and then where she lived, I guess, wouldn't let him stay there. So he came back. And
Hmm.
so I'm praying for him, that he is with her and that with his grandkids, because he has grandkids as well. And that I pray for his life, that he's able to, he's too old. Anybody, no one in America should not have shelter or food.
Yeah.
Um, but he became personal with me. He's a personal friend of mine. I consider him a friend, and I want blessings on his life. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
that's a
mean, I think it shows that, helping others is something that whether it's an athlete or, someone that's really struggling to find, shelter, it's something that fuels you. And,
yeah.
I think that passion for a way of living and service to others, certainly can really open up doors, which you've already seen, has
Yeah.
happened as like a young entrepreneur too.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's so interesting as we wrap up, and, I have one more question, but you've spent, your athletic career and jumping into entrepreneurship, which are both places of really success and failure. And I think you're
Hmm.
right. Like most baseball games and new companies, is often failure more than
Yeah.
success.
Right.
And so I think it definitely has to have like a certain wherewithal and a type of person that can be successful in that type of
Yes.
environment where you
Yes.
have enough of a belief in yourself, belief in what you're doing, and just perseverance to kind of get through the times where you can feel like, what is going to happen next. And
Hmm. Hmm.
is this the right path for me? And just, I think the difference between entrepreneurs and other people is
Hmm.
that, entrepreneurs have a vision that they believe in, and their job is to make others believe in that vision
Yes.
even before it
Yes.
may exist. And so
Yes.
you have to have a certain stomach for that, a certain passion and belief in what you do. And I think that's, really obvious in how you present yourself as
Yes.
an athlete, a mentor, and an entrepreneur. So,
Yes.
with all that being said, my last question is if you could go back and speak to your young self, young Gerald, whether he's about to join the Yankees at the Little League or, right before he goes into his principal's office or when he
Hmm.
was sleeping with his baseball glove,
Hmm.
if you could go back knowing what you know now, what would you tell him? Like, what advice would you give your young self?
I think I think I would stay on the path um that I chose, because I'm not a person that, live with regrets. I'm kind of like a move forward type of person. Like
Right.
even when things happen to me, even now that's negative, or like you say with the business, it's not going as fast as I want, or now it is having some success, but it's not that success that I still know my confidence is so high. But first of all, my faith, and then my
Yeah.
confidence in myself has
Yep.
always been so high. Even starting, like I told you, from a kid.
Yeah. You
I wasn't
believed in
scared.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and I wasn't scared of going to playing with the older boys because of my skill set. They just were bigger than me. I had never, and then what was funny is my first real friend in life ended up being 6 years older than me, right?
Yeah.
And I made him come from the other side of the street and play. I was 5 years old and he was 11, and I made him come over and play catch with me, right? And so that's how we became best friends, right? And so, but no, yeah, it's I really I don't know. I wouldn't change anything because it was the path that God put me on, right?
Yeah.
It was a reason I've gone through all the things that I've gone through, and that I'm taking this path and whatnot. I don't question God, right? So it's a reason that if I want to say, oh yeah, then I'm trying to rewrite the story He has for me, right? So I'm going to ride His journey out, and see where where it takes me for the rest of my days, however many days I have left here on this earth. I'm just trying to um, my brand right now, success, it starts and ends with I want to do a lot more great things for my mom,
Mm,
right? In her older age.
yeah,
Um, she is at the forefront of my success with the
amazing.
brand.
Yeah.
And then I'll look out for my household
Hmm.
and help others, you know. But my mom is the reason, and she's still in Michigan, Southfield, Michigan. Um, she's my she's supportive of everything, right? Whatever I've ever wanted to do, I think she knew at a young age that if my son is really interested, it's his passion. It's because I don't do things that I'm not really excited about. I've
Yeah.
never done anything. I can't tell you any activity or anything that I've just like dabbled with it and I don't didn't like it or it wasn't a passion. Even I'm into martial arts and boxing and things like that. A lot of people don't know that, but some do that really they know I'm into Krav Maga right now, but I've been in that for like 5 years. So I love hand to hand combat, weaponry and those type of things. That is a passion of mine as well. So she knew, and my father was military, right? So he was an artillery instructor for the Marines out here in Oceanside, right?
Wow.
And so I have that in. She like you have that, weaponry. You have that in your DNA because people don't know that. I go to the range a lot, and um, yeah, and so I'm
So
very
maybe
good.
you just tell your young self essentially to
Yeah,
listen to your passions and to,
to your passions.
build upon
Yeah,
that because I would say as a mom myself, I really hope that my kids, end up like you really remembering, how much, and as a parent yourself, how much work goes
and
into,
sacrifice.
hopefully
Yeah.
building, what you believe to be the future. And it
Hmm.
sounds like your mom just did such an amazing job and,
She
and really
yeah, yeah,
glad to
and
hear that.
being a single mom, it was, I have a real passion. Most of my kids I train, a lot of them have fathers, but some have, the majority are single moms. And so that's really a passion. I really try to be a mentor and help them from the male side of things with the kid when I can see that
Yeah,
there may not be a male, representative on a consistent level in their life, or maybe
sure.
not telling them the right things, or I
Yeah.
just try to, use my experiences. But yeah, no, probably, of course, we all have things that maybe we would want to do different, or maybe make a choice. And yeah, there's some things like that, like high school choice. Maybe it was a top-notch school called Country Day where Chris Webber and all those guys went to that. The coach tried to get me to leave my school to come there and get those advantages, and I chose to stay with my friends at public
Hmm.
school.
It's
That was
just
probably
natural at that
yeah,
age. But
yeah. But that school was #1 in Michigan. That's where all the Lions, Tigers, everybody's kids go. And I would have got a different experience, more opportunity for the draft and things like that. So maybe that choice I would have, I probably would have. But as far as anything else, I stayed out of trouble. You know, I don't have a criminal record. I've never smoked weed or used any type of drugs. I don't drink. Um, not knocking anybody that does, right? But just for me, it's just never been something I wanted to
yeah.
try. So, and coming from an inner city, when I tell people, no, man, I never smoked weed, I never done any of that, they be like, what? I said, yeah, no, it's never been a passion. If you really try to get me to do it, we probably fight,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah, yeah,
that's how
yeah.
passionate against it I was,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, lucky
And
in
so,
some ways
yeah,
that you have always followed your passions, and that has
yeah,
been,
yeah.
baseball and giving back
Sports,
to the
yeah,
community and
yeah, and giving back,
yeah.
giving back for me, and I'll end on this. Giving back is more important for me than my own success because I don't look for blessings from um, the world, the humans. I look
Yeah.
for when I do something. I've never wanted to or asked someone that I've done favors for or anything. I don't go back and say, man, I need help or can you help me to stand? Because I don't ever want them to ever think that he helped me because
Because of
he
something else.
he had ulterior motive, and a lot of people have done that to me. There's been a whole lot of people, even with this brand scenario, come in like they'll give you a phone number and say, well, who gonna own the brand? Can I, they think they're gonna get
Yeah.
ownership because you gave me a phone number or you
Right.
gave, a connection. And so I guess that's how I'm different. never, I can tell you right here on this podcast, I've never done anything for anybody wanting anything back from them, right? I just want them to win, or I want to help them. But what, like I told you, I look for people in the stores that's struggling, or a mother or a man, they don't matter if it's a kid, whatever, if they're counting pennies or whatever. And I may only have a few dollars on me or whatever, but I want to help them, right? I want to, so that's just in my DNA, and God put it. And then my mom always told me it's better to give, and that, that's the people. Some people use that as a cliche, but for me, it's better to give. I feel better giving than when someone gives me something.
Yeah.
Right? I feel that they're excited, or they're happy about what I did to try to help their kid or help them. That means everything to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really so glad that we had an opportunity to chat today. I loved, learning more about what your journey and what fuels you and, how much you're giving back to young athletes, to the community. And, for those that do get an opportunity to support pure hitters, that they learn today, like the real vision behind it and the meaning behind it. And, I
Yes.
just think it's such a kind of beautiful journey to be shared, in very different ways. And so I really appreciate your time today. I'm so glad we got a chance to connect, and I really look forward to seeing how Pure Hitters grows.
Well, I thank you, and I wish you nothing but success, and anything I can do to help you at any point in time and support you, I'm here. And I just wish, the best for and safety and blessings for you and your family. And thank you for having me. This has been great.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, until next time.
Okay. Well, take care. God
Thank
bless you.
you.